The views and comments expressed on the following radio program by its hosts and their guests do not necessarily reflect the views of rmconair.com or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
Ladies and gentlemen, special So What morning show on a Monday? Wow. Feels strange. Tuesday has such a vibe to it, but guess what? We're here today, special show, and I want to give out the number really quickly. It's 323-965-1600. I got some special guests in the building. Although we're missing some of our team, no Mark Goulston and Jeff Brown. I don't know if Jeff Brown is going to make it or not. I don't, he may. And we have some other people in studio right now. I want to welcome everybody for tuning in to this. I think I hit everybody up on Twitter and Facebook and let you guys know that we're live right now. So it's pretty fun to do it on a Monday. We originally started on Mondays and then switched to Tuesdays, but this is only a one-time thing. So enjoy it. And I also want to tell people how to stay in contact with me. A lot of people have been emailing me, and I want to thank everybody. Thousands of views, man. Last week's show and the week before, thousands and thousands and thousands of views on YouTube. We really, really appreciate the love. Keep spreading the word. This is how you stay in contact with me, though. Text ZO, Z-O, to 90210. It's just that simple. You put ZO in the message portion, like you writing a message, ZO, right? And then in the number portion, you put 90210. That's how you stay connected with me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, just everything that I'm doing. And what's amazing is I just struck a deal with some folk. We about to do some really fly ZO What t-shirts and some of my quotes, and it's going to be crazy. I think that's awesome. The book is still being edited. Don't think I've forgotten about that. So the book is coming. It's crazy. It is universal. It is revolutionary in my, because I've seen a lot. Watch, I'm going to talk to you about that in my book review section. But my relationship dismount, how to stick the landing when breaking up with someone, is an incredible work, man. I know I shouldn't be pulling my own chain like that, but Jesus, I took a totally different kind of perspective and angle to breaking up. But before I get into the guests and who's here and what we're going to be talking about today, which is a great topic, very important for a lot of young black folk to understand in today's climate, I'm going to go through my book selections. So, book number 1. This is a great book. It's a little heady in terms of its how it's written, its language, its verbiage is a little heady, but esoteric even. But it's deep, it's powerful, and if you want a better understanding of relationships, I think this is a great book to get. It's a New York Times bestseller. It's called Soulmates, Honoring the Mysteries of Love and Relationships by Thomas More. Also, Thomas More is the author of Care of the Soul. When I tell you this is a very rich and textured and layered book, very, very powerful, Soulmates, you got to check it out. It's a very, very deep book, and I think it will add to your understanding of relationships. And, relationships, like I always tell my son, relationships is the only class you never graduate from. So you should pick and choose a very wise time when to enroll in that school, because once you get in, you're never going to graduate from that school. You're never going to get out of it. So another great book. That one was Soulmates, but another great book, when I was a Muslim, I studied Islam for many, many years back in the day, and I practiced seriously from the age of 17 to about, I would say, from the age of 17 to about 28, 29, right? And I was really on this health, and Islam has a way of just stripping down all of the excesses out of you. And this book right here I picked up while I was studying Islam. It's called The Tao of a Balanced Diet: Secrets of a Thin and Healthy Body by Dr. Stephen T. Chang. Very, very, very deep and incredible book. Heavy, heavy book. A lot of people say I run through these books too quickly. I'm sorry. Please check out this book. Go get it. The Tao of a Balanced Diet. Great book, great work. Now, I have no prejudice towards any religion, although I will go in on religious folk who are, condescending and arrogant and disrespectful to people who may not, agree with their beliefs. But I have no disrespect for them. I say that to preface you for this book because although it comes from a Christian perspective, there's still a lot of jewels in this book, a lot of powerful, positive jewels in this book. The book is called Boundaries in Marriage, right? Understanding the Choices That Make or Break Loving Relationships by Dr. Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend. And the book is powerful because, and we talked about this on the show before when we were talking about how a lot of times people get in a relationship unconsciously to separate from the beliefs of their parents. Me and my DJ was just talking about this, where his woman, I'm not going to put him all the way out there, but his woman made a stand against some oppressive, old school, bunk ass beliefs that her mom had or that her people have. And I think creating boundaries that says, this is our relationship. These are the rules by which we engage, you and I, this dyadic, giving and taking between you and I. Now, although our relationship is the nucleus of a bigger network of relationships, our relationship is governed by its own rules. And although we're in a network of relationships, each relationship outside of our own has its own rules and we must respect them. It's almost like a blended family situation, right? Where, your stepdad may have different rules than your mom's house. But what makes peace is that the rules at your stepdad's house and the rules at your mom's house apply in each spot. You see what I'm saying? So you can't go to your stepdad's house knowing your mother said you can't have A, B, C, and D and then go to stepdad's house and get A, B, C, and D. Right? So it's like, no. The rules over there, the peace treaty that we have to abide by is that, you can't have that over here either. So the boundaries in relationships are so important. And I think people need to recognize and understand that. The book is called Boundaries in Marriage, Understanding the Choices That Make or Break Loving Relationships. You got to check it out. And it's a very powerful book. This is the hardcover version of it, right? This is a dope book. But what makes it even better, it's not just a book that says, read me, I have these philosophies or I have these ideas you should follow. No, it's a book that also comes with a workbook. That's what I like. There's some workable, practices that you can now implement. Because I do believe that a relationship, right? It's a sacred union between two souls, and whatever the people that come together and agree on, right? That's what creates the foundation and the boundaries in that relationships. And we have to make sure that, we're not reliving somebody's mistakes. A lot of times when we get that advice from somebody else, it's coming from a space of hurt. It's coming from a space of frustration. It's coming from a space of misunderstanding. So we'll take their rules because they want to live vicariously through our relationship. So it's important that we have these boundaries. And last but not least, a lot of people have asked me to do this, so I'm going to do it. My book. A lot of people say, man, where can I get your book? I've been trying to get your book. I can't find it. Here is a copy of my book right here. See that little dude in the corner? My son always thinks it's him. And I say, no, it's not you. That's me at 3. The book is called The Rebirth of Seeds. Why? It's just a metaphor basically saying, if I knew what I know now when I was 3, I'd be a cold piece of work. The rebirth of seeds. If I could rebirth myself with what I've gained, I'd be a cold piece of work. People want to know how you get it. I'll tell you how you get it. Just shoot me, a Facebook. Hey, I'll tell you exactly how to get it. Shoot me a Facebook. If you don't know what my Facebook is, text ZO to 90210. That's what you do. Yay. That is my book review for today. Listen, we want you to participate. We want you to chime in. I'm going to take a quick break, but when I come back, we're going to get into today's topic. And today's topic is a heavy one. This is a tampered down kind of show right now because some things have happened in the news that I want to deal with. And I think it's a great time to do it. Today's topic, the Black Man's Guide for Escaping the Legal Matrix. We're going to talk about the prison system. We're going to talk about school dropout rates. We're going to talk about fatherlessness. We're going to talk about how all of that adds up to a daunting maze that the black man, classism, racism, all that the black man has to somehow navigate himself through so that he can avoid going to jail. It's a cold situation, man. Call us 323-965-1600. I'll be back in 2.2. Guests, topic, let's get busy. Holla!
Base for your face, highs for your eyes, don't blink, black ink is a vibe. All rise, rude boys, keep that thing at your side. Be all right, motherfuckers, Philly, we up in here, we all live. I'm puffing this Cohiba, mommy cool in her heels. All she ever seem to do is play it cool for real. She be pushing pop, vessel in his shoes is ill. But her hand keeps slipping on the wood grain wheel. But it's cool, we never slipping when it's moves to make. Especially when what we talking ain't your usual cake. I pump bass for y'all bathing apes to get charged. Nah, I'm not a dealer, I'm a poet at large. We in the wind with the roof back, letting the breeze hit us. The bathrobe on with sweatpants and slippers. Coming to pay a visit to whoever on the hit list. Some of y'all been trying for years, you never get this fool. Check it out. Stay cool, baby. Stay cool, huh? Come on, check. Yeah. I got a few on the side, the game stitch, yo, I'm doing my job. Go up against enormous odds, wouldn't break a sweat, money make a bet. Funny son, you a threat, well I ain't shaking yet. 24/7 chillin', tougher than penicillin. From the block where the crooked cops killing like a villain. Children in the hood getting rocked by their buildings and brothers. Cross the board getting knocked by the millions distressed. Got me igniting the potent marijuana leaf, trying to play it cooler than the polar bear colony. You feel the music, know I'm over there probably pimping on the same system that forever shorted me. I got the soul of a young Sam Cooke when I spit. It make you wanna make a new dance up. It's all to the good, shorty, go and do that stuff. It's not another sound system, rockin' steady is up, and it's cool. Yeah, stay cool, huh? Check it out, it's just cool. Yeah. In my vehicle to chase, harass me. They never ride past me, they really coming at me, right? They wanna know where the drugs, guns, and cash be. Probably wanna get me to run so they can blast me. Just blast me in your box, play my shit. I know it's crowded at the top, cause I'm on the tip. And that's as high up at the top as a brother could get. And how I do it make a lot of motherfuckers upset. But it's fine, read Jizzle and I'm back for mine. In case y'all getting tired of the same old shine. And I'm calm, calculated and perfectly aligned. The way I'm operating, what is it, surgery and rhyme? It's not a thing when I load show with a gradient lens frames. I'm cooler than Clyde Stubblefield, drumming for James. Hip hop was out of Hustleville, coming for change. I exercise till a muscle build, breaking the chains, and I'm cool. Stay cool, stay cool, stay cool, motherfuckers, y'all know the rules. Stay cool, stay cool, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, So What Morning, special Monday edition. Back in the building. Special guests. It's crazy. So What? 323-965-1600. Text Zoe to 90210. Today's topic, the black man's guide for escaping the legal matrix. Tough question, man. How do we keep all of these young black kids out of trouble and out of jail? I've heard that there was a study out there that said based off of absences after the 3rd grade, they're setting up jail cots on those numbers. Yeah, if you don't make it through the educational system, we got another system that you'll fit right into perfectly. Here's a question. Call me too, 323-965-1600. That is 323-965-1600. Why is the incarceration rate so high for Latinos and blacks as opposed to whites, Asians, and others? Tough question. Do you see the future for young black men as it relates to the incarceration rates? Do you see it getting better? Do you ever see the black incarceration rates going down? Do you think in our lifetime we'll see an incarceration rate of white males that's higher than black men? I'm just asking. I know some of this stuff seems fanciful, but I'm just asking. 323-965-1600. Right? How does the epidemic of just rampant incarceration, high recidivation rates, how does this affect the black family, the immediate family, the community, and the nation as a whole? And here's a very tough one. Why are so many young black males having such a hard time avoiding legal woes and incarceration? Doesn't it seem, and I heard Johnny Mac say this once before, Johnny Mac is the resident lawyer because, he's been to prison 684,000 times. He's a good friend of mine, though, and he's made a wonderful life for himself outside of his criminal activities. But he's our resident authority. And Johnny Mac he told me once, once you get in the system, it's just really hard to get out of it. How do we get out? How do we break free from this type of existence? Well, without further ado, I'm going to introduce one of my guests to talk about it. We're going to talk about a few things, but he tells me that he's a master of law. And not the kind of law like LA law or, not the Hollywood law, but like some real, I think the term is how to get remedies. Now, let me just be honest really quickly. I've seen a bunch of people on this patriotism movement. A lot of the Tea Party people are on that too, right? So there's this subculture in American society that's like, nah, this ain't the real law. There's some different law. It's not the law that your lawyer is representing you with. It's like some real law that you're supposed to know as a citizen so you can navigate the waters of this community, right? I mean, I'm confused, but I got somebody here who's going to talk about it and break down some information. The brother's name is Yusef L. He has a radio show called Blog Talk Radio, or it's on blogtalkradio.com, called High Frequency or Rules to the Game. Now, I did this show sometime in 2011, And I had a lawyer. He's a judge out of Cleveland. Good friend of mine. His name is Dawson, right? Lawson, actually. And man, he's a judge right now. And he had to admit to me, because, I'm going to twist the screws on him with the questions. He had to admit to me, man, that it is a game. And black men don't know the rules to the game. And I think what happens is we get caught up on this assimilation. The only way to stay out of trouble is to totally assimilate into the system. Lockstep. Don't be outside the lines in any way, shape, or form. And that's considered a good man. And I think we can go deep into this. We can go as far into this as we want. But without further ado, let me introduce Yusef L. Rules to the Game, blogtalkradio.com, high frequency. Welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me on, man. What's going on?
Man, can you talk to me about what's happening in the black community with regards to black men just seemingly being a magnet for trouble and legal woes? I mean, what is that?
Well, we were talking a little bit, during the break, and I was sitting back thinking, I was saying, how am I going to approach this? Because I know you're going to hit me with some challenging questions
it's
about this whole
thing. Man. It's what I do. I got to do it.
So I thought about it, and I thought I would start out this way. Thomas Jefferson, who's one of the so-called founders of this country, made a very good statement that I think that applies here. It says, those who hope to be both ignorant and free are hoping for something that never has been and never will be.
Wow.
So I think where it starts off, first of all, is, okay, you got to obviously have some knowledge, okay? You're not going to get away from that. So one of the things is we're going to have to get back into our young people this love for education, because there's really no quick answer. There's no bullet. There's no silver bullet for this, okay? And people, they've come to me and asked me for that. It requires a little history. You have to expand your vocabulary a little bit. You got to have something about you that you want to improve yourself.
But when you say knowledge, are we talking knowledge from the college, from high school? What kind of knowledge are you talking about specifically?
Okay, good question. Okay, on my show, I always drop 4 rules. There's only 4 rules to this game, and that's going to tie into what you just said. And my 4 rules are this. The number 1 rule is that there is no money in our society. The country's bankrupt. Everything that's going on in the country is related to that bankruptcy. You can go to the debtclock.org, and y'all can see that we're $16 trillion in debt, and that clock ain't stopping. It's moving 1 trillion times a second.
Who has to pay for the debt?
We pay for it. Okay, we're responsible for that. And we pay for it in more ways than we realize. And one of the ways we pay our debt to society is by being placed in prison. Now, number 2, which is what ties into what you said about the education. We have a public and we have a private, and they do not mix. They don't ever mix them. Don't you ever mix them. We have a public education system and we have a private education system. And public education is to create public servants or public employees. The public serves the private. That's why they're called public servants. Now, the education that you get on the public side is going to be diametrically opposed to the education you receive on the private side. The private side education is far more superior than the public education that you get.
Now, for the layman who's listening to you, are you saying public schools are not as good as private schools? Are you saying private school education, or are you talking about a separate education? I used to hear it like this in the public school. There is a school within the school. There is a curriculum within the curriculum. And they made a separation, and you could see certain students that would excel differently because of the different kind of education they were getting even at a public school. Is it that? Or are you talking about some type of secret knowledge?
I don't think anything is secret today. I think we live in the age of information, and anything we want to know, we do have access to it. But it would seem like that you're implying, I think you're absolutely correct. We have things like Rhodes scholarships and things like that are put in place to identify specific students with special characteristics. So they can pull them into certain circles and so forth, and and expose them to information that other people may not be privy to.
Right.
So I would agree with that. That those things exist. I don't claim to have all knowledge about those things, but what I do know is that the information that's given publicly, it's not going to be like what that private education is now, because that public and private exist in everything in society. You have public corporations, private corporations. People like to talk about Bill Gates being the richest man in the world, but he's the richest man publicly. There are people who have much more money than Bill Gates privately.
Wow.
A lot more money. You
like
see what
who?
I'm saying?
Well, they're private. We don't know, right?
Well, we don't know, but maybe it's the Japanese family, the Dragon family, their trust, the Dragon Trust over there that I'm aware of. There is some Arabs that you can Google on. They have like $850 billion in assets and so forth.
Wow.
So it's there are families on the planet that have a lot more money than $50 or $60 billion, which I believe is what the richest quote unquote man in the world is about worth. So
let me, because this is such an expansive topic. When we talk about the black man escaping the legal matrix, tell me, well, first go back to your 4 points.
Yeah, let me finish it. Okay. Number 3, you have to be an honorable individual.
What does that mean?
Well, there's a character assessment that goes along with allowing people to have access to private information and allowing them to actually utilize that information. Because obviously, if too much private information was disseminated to the public, i.e. casting pearls before swine, if you will.
Wow.
That could possibly create some type of...
But what does that mean? To the average person listening, man, they want when you say...
Well, let me ask you a question. Mm-hmm. Let's say you have some information that would prevent you from ever going to jail. And what if you're not an honorable individual and you go out there and start killing people or raping people or things like that, but you've made yourself immune from any type of... paying any type of penalty for doing those because of the way our system has been set up.
Let's say, ain't that the system right now? America does that all day. We rape, kill, pillage, we mash, and are immune to any reprisals.
When you say America, you mean like in dealing with other countries and so forth?
I'm saying how we police the world.
Well, the United States. Well, let's look at that. Right now, the United States is a corporation.
Understood.
And they are a for-profit corporation. All right? They're trying to make a profit. And the United States is a composition primarily of corporations, the major corporations here in the United States. These are individuals you see that lobby and so forth to get laws passed. And that is also going to tie into the prison system because these getting lengthier sentences and all these different things. These are private prison corporations that are lobbying for all of that, not people who are saying, oh, I need some protection in my neighborhood.
Well, there's a lot of money in privatized prisons.
There's a lot of money in privatized
prisons. But my question is, why is the focus on black and brown?
Well, let's look at this. Let's go to the Constitution real quick. People have this belief that slavery doesn't exist anymore. All right. When you read a Black's Law Dictionary, and I'd get an 8th edition.
And the 4th.
And the 4th. 4th is very good.
Yes.
I love a 4th edition. But I use the 8th a lot. I have an affinity for the 8th edition because I already understand that the words they're trying to hide things and so forth. But when you look at the word slavery, what you'll find out is when the Constitution was aborting, meaning at its inception, that the drafters of the Constitution got into a debate against the abolitionists.
Right.
All right. Okay, should we get rid of slavery or should we keep it? And there was a disagreement. So they decided that they were going to keep slavery, but that what they were going to do is not use the word slave anymore.
What word were they going to use?
That is very interesting. The $1 million question.
Yes. Go deeper. You have the floor.
Okay. Now, let me just continue on that. When you read the 13th Amendment, it says slavery and involuntary servitude should not be permitted unless
you go to jail.
You're convicted of a crime.
Yes.
So now all we have to do is make crimes. So, not like I told you earlier, 70% of all the crimes now are victimless crimes.
What is a victimless crime? Go deeper.
There's no injured party, meaning that did I really commit a crime if I didn't hurt? If I'm smoking a blunt, who am I hurting?
Right. So
Why
the
can't
legalization of marijuana.
If I want to smoke a blunt and I want to pollute my body, isn't that something that is between me and my creator? Because he's the one who gave me this body. Did he make it incumbent upon you, another man, to police me and tell me that I can't, damage my health? Isn't that my personal choice? Isn't that an exercise of my own free will? Aren't you infringing on that?
True.
So what has happened that's allowing you to look at me and the comfort of my own home, and I might have an ounce of weed over here and I'm smoking it, and you can come in my house and arrest me and tell me I'm breaking the law and put me in a jail for 5 years.
Wow. Because putting you in jail is still creating an economy for them.
Well, here's the thing. You can easily check out something like 27 CFR 72.11, and what they've done is...
Wait, say that again real slow.
Okay, 27 CFR, that stands for Code of Federal Regulations, 72.11. And in there, you will see that these are all commercial crimes. Now, here's the trick that judge probably didn't tell you. Here's the secret. Our court system, after 1933, changed. But people don't realize that in this country, we have a government that is a 3-branch government. We have a legislative,
executive,
and judicial. They're Article 1, Article 2, and Article 3. What people don't realize that each one of those branches of government has its own court system. Under Article 1, Section 8, Clause 9 of the Constitution, you will see that the legislature can constitute tribunals that are inferior to the Supreme Court.
Which means?
Which means this, is that their prime directive is to regulate commerce.
Wow.
So they will give you...
Commerce meaning?
Commerce meaning the money system that's in the country.
I'm just, I know, I just need you to, I'm going to prod you to give more information. That's
right.
Right. Commerce.
Right. Which is why when you look in the feds, y'all, you'll see 100% of the people in the feds have an interstate commerce charge.
Wow.
And that's because...
Like Madoff.
Like Madoff.
Great point.
Now, that's because it ain't necessarily that you... selling dope. It's just you selling dope without a license and then using Federal Reserve notes that don't belong to you.
Right.
Using these people private money. They didn't give you permission. If you're going to use their money, they got the right to tell you how you can use it. But you can't be using their Federal Reserve notes and you didn't go get no license from them to use it the way that they want you to use it.
Wow.
Now they got this thing called a minimum contact provision. It's called minimum contacts. All you attorneys out there, y'all know what I'm talking about. And what that means is they looking at what type of things are you engaged in that will allow them to deem you as someone who they can bring under their jurisdiction because you're looked at as doing business. And that's because you got you a birth certificate, driver's license, marriage license, social security number, school matriculation number, and you're using Federal Reserve notes. Well, they're looking at all these things and say, well, hey, you acting like you a merchant.
You're doing business.
You're doing business.
With all of the apparatus we've set up.
Exactly. They set it up like a monopoly board. Now, the game Monopoly came out in 1936, and it's an exact replica of what is going on today. I hope you know that.
Go back to 1933. What happened in 1933 that really was the domino effect that set all of these things in play? What happened?
Well, without going beyond that to 1913, when you had the Federal Reserve Act, we can start in 1933. Actually, that was the Great Depression. And the president at that time, newly elected President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the country was in chaos, and, they were taking farms. And y'all don't know, them farmers trying to hang them judges back then, too. I don't know if y'all know that. But he instituted the New Deal. And a lot of people may have heard this in school, but just gloss over it.
The New Deal.
See, that's like public. See, here's the difference at public education and the private education.
Right.
When you go in American history and public education, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the New Deal saved the country, and he got about 2 pages in your book, and he keep it moving.
But what happened? Tell him.
Well, what happened was that's when you started getting all these agencies because the country went bankrupt. And the creditors.
The banking system, right?
The banking system took over. Your Federal Reserve, okay, which is not a governmental entity. It is a private bank, and they are an arm of the International Monetary Fund. These are the richest private people in the world.
Can you speak a little on what is it? The island that they had the private meeting on?
Oh, that's Jekyll Island.
Yeah.
Okay, they had a meeting in Georgia.
I just want you to go ahead and finish.
On
Go ahead.
On Jekyll Island, when they decided how they were going to put all this thing together. Mm-hmm. But in 1933, our court system changed. You can check out the Erie versus Tompkins decision. They will not allow you to use any citations of authority after 1938 because when your court system changed, everything went commercial. And all these administrative agencies came into play because the country is bankrupt. So now they are administering the bankruptcy that the United States is in. And how they are extracting, now only 49% of the people pay income taxes. So they have to extract the rest of that from us some kind of way. And that's what these statutes, codes, rules, and regulations are. It comes from something called the statute merchant, all right, which when you look in your Black's Law Dictionary, that's when somebody could pledge their body for the payment of a debt. So what they do, these bonds that you have, these statutes are actually bonds of record. In other words, each one of these statutes have a value associated with it. So let's say like you get caught with possession with the intent to distribute.
Okay. An OZ.
Yeah, you was rolling and you had some baggies in the car.
Right.
You had the baggies and everything, you know.
The whole get down.
You know, I don't know why y'all roll like that in the first place. You know, when they see the baggies in a whole bunch of different ways, they go, "Oh, you selling," you know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Go ahead.
So you got the possession with the intent to distribute. Now to them, that has a value associated with it. So they create a bond. The clerk issues a bond on that. All right. And they say you owe a debt. And they're using admiralty. Now, when you study admiralty, it's about debt collection. All right. Now, they take this bond, and when you come into
admiralty law, right?
Admiralty. That's exactly
Got
correct.
It. Okay.
And people call it the law of the sea. It is the law of the sea, but it deals with the subject matter. And the subject matter is commerce. 90% of commerce goes over the sea. But you do have an amount that goes over land as well. So it encompasses the whole thing.
Right.
All right. So people need to understand that distinction.
Well, that's like, if I may, that's like the word affluent. People don't understand. If you look at the word affluent, that's where you get the word flu and influenza, and it means to flow.
Exactly.
And just like water, right?
Exactly.
And we were talking about this before on the other show when we had the judge on, and I had to call the judge out on it. I said, "Judge, be honest. What is that thing you're sitting on called?"
A bank.
It's the bench is the Latin word bank. And then, I said, it's a bank. And somebody in there that's standing in front of you is in on a charge.
That's correct.
Right? And I told him the bank is like the banks of a river that controls the current or currency of the flow of the river. And that's what it is. That's why I always tell my son, I say, listen, man, money is lubricant for living. It makes things flow. Now, who you are as a person will be accentuated by how you spend your money. Right? That's all money does. Money doesn't make you who you are. It just lubricates you and your flow and your transit through life. If you don't have any, you'll see everything come to a screeching halt.
That's right. That's right.
But in terms of, the judge sitting on a bank, right?
It is a bank.
Go deeper into that.
It is a bank. There's something out there called the Court Registry Investment System, and people may not be aware of that. All the courts invest. All the money that comes to the court goes to that, and that's tied into the Treasury Department. And they cash all their warrants. A warrant is a check that they cash at the Treasury Department.
Wow.
And the IRS, of course, is the accounting arm for the Treasury Department. But every time you go into a court, it's a tax case. On a criminal case, it's taxes. And you're being charged something. And then they give you a bill of indictment.
And if you can't pay, you're put in a cell.
That's right.
I'm just saying.
And to pay your debt to society.
Wow. So debt is the new slavery.
Debt is slave. Well, when you look in the Bible, like how you said earlier, use the Bibles. I use the Bible. Well, the Bible has principles. You have to look at the principle behind everything. There's a principle. When you owe someone, you are enslaved to that particular person.
Wow.
So
this is crazy. Listen, we're about to take a quick break. When I come back, call us 323-965-1600. This brother's dropping some heavy jewels. Special So What Morning Show edition, 323-965-1600. I'll be back in 2.2. Holla.
Lyrical skills we bring. Yo, this is the sneak attack. The edutainment style returns like that. Take it off your shelf, cause all we deal with is knowledge and self. Health and wealth, not stealth bombers, leather goose bombers. Original hip-hop armor on CD-ROM. You got to get with 21st century philosopher, representing the religion of hip-hop, son. Those that are foes oppose and will get dropped. Stop, I rise like a helicopter, like Zulu Al-Shaka crowd with the beat that's loud. I'm black and I'm proud, irrelevant, I'm black and intelligent. I teach my kid to watch the education they give them, cause it's really all about street wisdom. Combine the college knowledge and the bank with the street knowledge, you'll get more miles to the tank. The tank is the mind, fill it up with self-respect, self-love, not self-neglect. Open up your third eye vision, your second nose smelling, your second set of ears, and listen. Discipline yourself to stay alive. This is the reason that we've arrived. See swing, definitely, now do your thing. See swing, definitely, now do your thing. See swing, definitely, now do your thing. See swing, definitely, check it out. Ha ha ha. Yeah, now check it. Underground verbal hip hop, you selected. By only a few, this type of artist is bought. So like Bartles and James, thank you for your support. It's time for all the chit chat, the skit scat. Aren't you tired of hearing all the plap? Raise the level of your lyrical pleasure, a letter, and let the teacher put these new jacks under pressure. My first name is hip hop, no doubt. My last name is Run With Me, breath for breath. Yes, I'll blow your lungs out and cut your tongue out and use that to clean my rug out. I ain't even start the bug out. Somebody requested the teacher to get active, cause out of all these rappers that look good to battle, I'm unattractive. And actively in your brain cavity, you be singing 1, 2, 3. Your family BDP. I'm total, can't you see? I took it there. You be saying with your swollen eye, it just ain't me up there. But your crew told you what was up. You just didn't give a up. My lyrics are intact, so my picture you can pin it up. Take me out, give it up, you're late. I rocked the 917 when it was 718. I'm a juvenile delinquent group homeward of the state. But the truth about the matter though is that I feel great. I come in the form of the mind bender, bartender, serving that lyrical nectar that burns your chest dead center. Remember battling MCs, I'm not always doing, cause we need new rappers and careers I always ruin. What you pursuing, who in the hell want this friction? I bump your seat to make your drum machine start glitching, switching my diction, the quick and the affliction. I'm fixing, I turn you up like the light in the kitchen. See swing, definitely, now do your thing. See swing, definitely, now do your thing. See swing, definitely, now do your thing. See swing. I'll bring you out the cave and change how you behave.
That KRS is vicious. So What Morning Show, we back in the building. Let me just say this really quickly, man. We appreciate to have our DJ back in the building. DJ, Mr. Number Wonderful. Listen, we're about to do a relationship roundtable. You know, DJ Mr. Number Wonderful over there is setting it all up at this super fly art gallery in Santa Monica, March 16th. If you're in the Los Angeles area, I'm telling you, it's going to be recalculation. It's going to be fire and brimstone. It's going to be cold. It's a mixer. People get to come and meet, mingle. It's a relationship roundtable. We're going to have serious discussion. It's going to be maybe a little wine tasting, a little cheese, wine and cheese. Even. It's going to be real classy, real fly, high end. So what? We're going to have a red carpet, the whole 9 yards. Dr. Mark Goulston will be there. Jeff Brown will be there. Margot Hudson will be there. Kabibi Springs will be there. DJ Mr. Number Wonderful will be there. I'm going to be there. Everybody's going to be in the building. I urge you to come, participate. It's going to be a lot of fly people allowed to get down, man. But let me get back to our topic. The Black Man's Guide to Escaping the Legal Matrix. You hear me and Corey Holcomb talk about it. You hear me rant about it. And I'm going to be honest, man. I get blown away, man. Just emotional, man. When I just take a step back and look at the plight of our culture. And I'm talking about African Americans here in America. Man, I'm disheartened. I'm saddened because we've been through so much. We've done a lot. You know, we've accomplished a lot. But what hurts me is that this is a system, and a lot of people think it's just about black people. They don't understand. No. They don't understand. To go back to some of the things that you were talking about earlier, I was talking to a 67-year-old man at a Starbucks 2 days ago. I'm just in there chilling, and the dude just saw me and was like, yo, let me holler at you. You know how old people do. Right. No, I need to holler at you. He don't know me, but I need to holler at you. Right. Hold tight. I'm finna get this Frappuccino hook up real quick, and then I'm gonna come holler at you.
Like he know you.
like he knew me his whole life. And dude just pulled up a seat and was like, check this out, young brother. I know you a young brother because I'm looking at you. You young. You ain't nowhere near old as me, so ain't a lot of feedback you can give me right now. Right, I just want you to sit tight and listen. And then he sat down and broke down some things. He said, man, I love President Obama. He said, man, I'm from Mississippi, homeboy. I'm 67 years old. I love our president. He said, I voted for him twice. And if he could run for a third time, I'd be right there, the first in line. He said, man, I came from a situation where I marched with Martin Luther King and them. And he said, I was a teenager when that happened. I was marching. He said, man, but the way we are today, man, is in such a bad way. And I'm thinking to myself, God loves me. The universe loves me because I might be feeling down on myself. And then an angel, old angel man, 67, say, hey, no, you, sit there. Don't you move. Sit there. I'll be right back. Right. I'm going to get this coffee hook up and I'm going to come holler at you. Right. He was like, man, Barack Obama doesn't support the sisters. I said, what are you talking about? I said, you got a wonderful wife. I mean, he said, dude, remember a few years ago, the sister with the agricultural situation? She was the president, or she was running the agricultural situation. Right. I was like, yeah. He was like, somebody said she did something and the president came out and got on her head. Like, nah, whoop, whoop, whoop. You shouldn't have did that. Then it was found out that they lied and they made a mistake. Then he had to come back to her and apologize and re-offer her job. But by that time, she was like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to know more. I retired. Forgot the sister's name. All my fans out there are well-read. They know. Y'all find it, y'all let me know. Then he talked about the sister that Obama picked to be the Secretary of State. Smart sister, last name Rice. Not Condoleezza. Smart sister. Bad. Intelligent. Whew. You know? Hey. Republicans jumped on her, ripped her to pieces. He backed off of her. Instead of fighting for her. Like, hell nah. I said she's the one. Right?
Right.
He was upset about that. Now, that was just one of the jewels he gave me. The other jewel he gave me, he said, dude, the black community is broken down because we are only respecters. Now, listen to this. This was cold. He said, we're only respecters of the rich and famous. He said, we'll back OJ because we know OJ. We remember OJ running through the Pioneer Chicken commercial. We remember OJ in the Hertz commercial. OJ was a hero. We'll back a hero. We'll back somebody who's reached a certain level of notoriety. We'll back Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson didn't touch no kids. What you talking about? Michael Jackson's a little kid himself. We'll back all the way the one of notoriety. He said, but we will compete with, pull down, degrade, undermine, sabotage the one that ain't known, the one who lives next door. He said, we are. Because I asked him, I said, do you think black people are the most unforgiving people on planet Earth? He said, we are. He said, but we're only unforgiving of those that are at the same class as we are. Those that are above us get a pass from us. Told me to pieces. I was like, damn, I needed these jewels. I needed to get this information. The reason why I outlined and put that out there is because of what happened with Hydea Pendleton, the young sister that was murdered, who performed at the president's inauguration. This is why I say, people, it's a class issue. This country is built on class, right? There's a grade of education that you get, a higher grade, a mid-level grade, and a low grade, right? And just like the gas, some niggas is running on premium information, and some people running on regular. You understand what I'm saying? Right. So, for me, with all of the deaths and all of the bullshit that's been going on in Chicago, right?
Right.
Very little media coverage, but you'll get some media outlets that'll say, damn, more deaths in Chicago than the Afghanistan war. But no response from the White House. You only get a response when it hits close to home. Oh, the young lady that performed here, she got killed. And I say, God bless the parents, and I know this is a tough situation, but every death in a president's hometown should matter. Every single one. And not just your hometown, but hometowns across America. Not just one in an affluent, you understand what I'm saying? In an affluent suburb somewhere, right? Where that private sector you talked about has a stronghold. What about, this is what I'm saying, man. And you got people who buy into the way of life. Well, you know what? And the president, and I'm not a president hater or basher. I'm a realist. I know this is a business. You understand what I'm saying? I know this is a business, and I know it really ain't got nothing to do with color. It has more to do with class. Can you expound on that, Yusef Bey?
Well, yes.
Yusef L. Sorry, excuse me.
Yes. First of all, they don't give attention to anything unless it serves their interest. Because, of course, they're in control of the media. The media, you know, and everything about the media. And everyone is not necessarily important or valuable like we would like to think. Back in the day, a wise man once told me, what are you doing to leave an impression in the world? You know, do you just eat, sleep, and reproduce? Or is there anything else outside of those other activities that you engage in? So what is it that makes people valuable? Even though we have a tendency to always say, well, every human life is valuable. And that's true. But you have individuals out there who do not think like you think. They look at people as commodities, right, as human resources. And this death, in my opinion...
Is that any different than Hitler? He looked at people as cattle. Useless feeders.
You trying to get me to say something?
Hey, that's what this is.
Okay, well, let's look at it.
That's what this is.
Hitler singled out a certain group of people,
right,
who have now taken over the world and are responsible for the monetary system that is in place that is oppressing the entire world.
Interesting. Go deeper.
I'm just wondering, did somebody know something I didn't know?
But see, here's the point that I'm making.
You know?
This is the point that I'm trying to make to you, brother. When we separate the people by class. Now look at, and I'm finna go deep.
Okay, go ahead. Let's go. Let's get it.
Now look at how all of this breaks down. Right, because a few weeks ago I went on a tangent about, and I want you on mic too. A few weeks ago I went on a tangent, right, about a brother whom I respect. I don't know this brother personally, but I respect him because he has jewels. That brother is Les Brown.
Okay.
Right? And we're hoping that Les Brown is going to come on this show soon. The poetess is working that out for us right now because she's that chick. You understand?
Right.
But there's a belief, and I hear this a lot, I had a friend of mine who's been on this show tell me, hey, man, there's certain people, man, you shouldn't be around because of their thought process. I even tell my son this.
Right.
You know, but I give my son the jewel that I think is missing when other people hand it out. The other people do it this way. If they don't think like you, get away from them. Right?
Right.
If they not about nothing, get away.
Right.
What that makes is a mercenary mind. That makes a critical and judgmental mind, in my opinion. And you have it everywhere. Whether it's a Scientologist belief, oh, that person is a suppressor, get away from them. That person is resistant to good information, move away from them. That person is negative, they're evil. That's a Scientology perspective. A Christian perspective might be, that person is unequally yoked because they don't share our belief. What I'm telling, the jewel that I add is this. How you think organically pulls the people to you anyway. And even if you had the power to extricate all of the negative people from your life, if you don't have an objective view of yourself, you're not going to be able to remove the negativity in your own perspective. So a lot of the people you're bringing in, and everybody you're bringing in, is coming with a lesson. So it's going to be kind of impossible to say, let me pick and choose the right people to be around me. You can only do that as it pertains to an endeavor. If you're trying to become a real estate mogul, then pull in real estate people. But on a spiritual level, you can't pick and choose which lesson you're going to get.
Well, no, but you know, the spirit precedes the physical and the mental precedes the spiritual. I think it's all predicated off of what your goals are. It's like, I like how, in very simple terms, Robert Kiyosaki put one time, he said, take the 5 people that you hang around the most and average out their incomes, and that's how much money you make. And in the Bible, it'll say something like bad association spoils useful habits. So you have all these different ways that people put it. But the thing is, okay, what is your goal? What do you want out of life?
But what I'm saying is the goal is finite. Most people make the goal infinite. The goal is finite. This is why I say all the time, and you can disagree with this if you like. I say this all the time. What you have is just a reflection of who you are and not the other way around.
That's correct.
It's just most people are made by what they've accumulated.
But what I mean is, when you were talking about people coming into our lives and there being a lesson for you, well, when a person comes into your life, that's a reflection of something that is in you.
Indeed.
So if you can exhibit the awareness and understanding to see that, you can change yourself, because you have an exercise of will where you can change your habits, you can change your conditions. You have the power to change who you are.
Right. There we are in agreement. Right. But it's about self-reflection. It's about evaluating the reflections that are returning to you, as opposed to labeling and judging the person that is coming to you.
I agree with that.
And that's what happens when you give a jewel, right, to people that don't know what the jewel is, and the person that's handing them the jewel doesn't know how to explain the jewel they're giving. Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
So again, to take it the way it's given, and I'm speaking of the jewel, you know, pick and choose the people that are around you.
Right.
To take it the way it's normally given, it increases judgment. First off, an imbalanced mind cannot judge accurately a soul or a spiritual experience that has something to give to you. Most people are judging it based off of the agenda that they're after. Well, this person can give me what I want. Okay, and then once you get what you want, you find that you're not fulfilled because you're after something as opposed to the sum total.
I also would like to say that it's spiritual, because anything that you're after that's physical, it doesn't have permanence. It's temporary.
That's my point.
And it's a direct result of some type of spiritual activity. So the quest should always be something that's spiritual, some type of spiritual development.
This is my point. Robert Kiyosaki is using spiritual principles for the accumulation of physical things.
Exactly.
So again, people miss the point of it. It is a spiritual axiom. There's nothing you can think that won't draw a concomitant experience to you.
Correct. So, and what we were talking earlier about the young men in Chicago. So, is that the answer to start teaching them spiritual principles and make them realize that, hey, all of this, you are, because on my show, I'm real heavy with responsibility.
Yes.
Responsibility. You are responsible. No one else is responsible for anything that's happening in your life but you.
But in effect, we are teaching, and this is what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. I'm with this young brother. His name is Ice Life. Ice Life is a artist, spoken word artist, poet, author, teacher, educator. Dude is cold-blooded. I've known him, I met him when he was 19. He just turned 30.
Right.
He and I are co-facilitating a class at a high school here, just right down the street from my son's high school. Those kids in that class can't graduate unless they get 5 credits. They sent them to us. We teaching them life skills. We're teaching them spiritual jewels, not just academic. It is a co-partnership with the academic branch, but then there's a life class branch that we're teaching.
I like that.
I'm teaching relationship. I'm teaching accountability, responsibility. It's almost like here is the manual for being you based off of what I've been able to glean. Now, this is just one facet in the diamond of life. All of those facets haven't been revealed to you yet, but this is what I got out of my facet.
And what you're talking about is character building. And like I said, one of my 4 rules, and I didn't get to the 4th rule, but the 3rd rule was being in honor, staying in honor at all costs, being an honorable individual. And there's a character assessment that goes with being able to exercise remedies to extricate yourself from this legal matrix, as you said. So, and that's the part of the development. You have to get yourself, your character developed, understand who you are, understand to how to live in accord with nature. Because that's the big thing. It's the further you get away from nature, the more problems you're going to have. The closer you are to nature, the more harmonious your life is going to be.
But what I see is cats, I just see an assimilated bunch. The more assimilated you are, the less trouble you're in. Followers. And what happens is we can't have a Malcolm X or a Muhammad Ali in today's climate.
Whoa.
They have educated, conditioned the stand-up testicular fortitude that Malcolm X, my man Farrakhan speaks of. They've educated that out of black men. And they've made standing up and protesting for things that aren't right. And when I say things that aren't right, it is not right for black people to still be so divisive with each other at a low level. When you see black people that are doing well, that have an apathetic mentality towards the ones that aren't, we have no right. Education ain't even 100 years old. So how can those who are educated have an uppity attitude towards those who are not? Do you understand?
Right.
Like apathy is the religion of black folk. And how do we unturn that? How do we undo that?
Well, like I always talk on my show, I gave a very simple illustration. You always they got this conscious community, and everybody's on. We got to get conscious, and I've been a part of that community probably for 25 years, such as yourself. You've been studying for a long time, like you said earlier. And I give a very simple example that you can't get a woman to love you if you don't love yourself. Mm-hmm. So until black people collectively can demonstrate that they can show they have a love for each other, other cultures can't. How can we expect other individuals to show that that they expect them to love us or show us some type of respect. So, and I think that we demonstrate that by starting with how we spend our money as well.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? How do we spend our money with each other and raise each other up?
That dollar we earn is supposed to be spent 12 times. It's supposed to pass 12 different black hands before it goes back out.
They're spilling.
But that don't happen.
It doesn't happen. And we spend it in a lot of industries that don't come back, like the hair industry, which
the nails industry.
billions of dollars.
I can't even
come back.
We don't even want to talk about the car industry and the rims and
hey, in Atlanta.
What about the sneaker industry? Nike, Adidas, Jesus.
Those are gods too, Greek gods.
Exactly. Bow down, nigga. Bow down, nigga. Let me do this really quickly. We have some more special guests in the building right now. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado. Oh, the sister's name was Sister Susan Rice. And Shirley Sherrod was the Secretary of Agriculture that Obama didn't back and then had to backtrack after it found out that she was telling the truth. No, this is what we're talking about. Poetess had a point. We might have to bring Poetess on too. My cousin is back in the building. Herb Simmons. Herbie, say hello to the folk.
How you doing, everybody out there in radio land? Good morning.
Right. And of course, without further ado, the rawest, the realest, the most ratchet relationship guru I've ever known. Six is back in the building. Six, welcome to the show.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, girl. Shit, man. You gonna talk some more shit today?
Shit, always there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but see, this is the point that I'm trying to make. It's not about race, like I was saying earlier today. It's about class.
Right.
And the old man brought that point to me. He said, President Obama didn't back Shirley Sherrod, right? Who was the Secretary of Agriculture. He said he don't back sisters. That's what the old dude said. Right. 67 years old. Don't know him. Just pointed me out. Wanted to holler at me. He said he didn't back Susan Rice. Once the Republicans came and attacked Susan Rice, didn't back her.
Yeah, but let me say this.
But, to bring the whole point home, we were talking about how it took this tragedy of Hadia Pendleton to be murdered. If Hadia Pendleton, here's the question, Herb, you can answer too. If Hadia Pendleton didn't perform at the inauguration, if she was just another person, another black kid who got killed from Chicago, would the White House have responded? Because we talked earlier.
I think
more deaths in Chicago in the past couple of years than all of the deaths in Afghanistan. On top of that, I mean, come on, man, we have to address this. On top of that, Shady Brook happens, immediate response, tears,
Sandy Hook.
I'm just saying, heartbroken, the whole nine. We got to do something. We're in trouble. Gun control, meetings.
There you go.
My point is, and I understand that there was an underlying purpose and reason, which, if anybody listened to these shows, Poetess, you heard me say this before. I said, how real is the Jason Bourne scenario where there's this ulterior motive to create some legislative movement, by doing some terrible things? Now, we know we don't want no kids to be killed, but what if that was done on purpose to expedite a legislative change or a legal change in the Constitution with regards to the Second Amendment? We talked about the same kind of conspiracy concepts when we talked about 9/11.
But see, with the Second Amendment, the Constitution created the government. The government has no power to change the Second Amendment. So when you see things like that happen, what they're trying to do is trying to get the public to request that we change the Second Amendment. But what people don't understand is the Second Amendment, the sole purpose of the Second Amendment was to protect you from the government. That is why the Founding Fathers put that in there. That was our last bastion of defense. If the government became despotic or tried to start some type of thing.
That's when they said we could set up our own militia.
That's exactly right. And that's why we have. So why would you allow the individuals who take away something that was given to us to protect us from them. That's what it was for. I don't understand. It's like, okay, why would I let the government take away my Second Amendment rights when my Second Amendment rights are to protect me from the government?
So let me understand this correctly. Let me understand this correctly. The Second Amendment basically says if the government ain't doing their fucking business, you can form a militia and go in there and usurp the power.
Well, it doesn't say that specifically. When you go back and start studying in history, it says the right to bear arms shall not be infringed. That your citizens' rights to bear arms should not be infringed. So you can't pass it, and legislation can only apply to anything that's subject to legislation, and that would be artificial entities or anything that has to do with some type of corporate type of, dealing in the areas of corporations. They can't pass a law to take away people's right to bear arms. It's impossible because the creation cannot supersede the creator. The Constitution created government. The government didn't create the Constitution. So they have to act within the ambit of delegated authority, and their delegated authority comes from the Constitution, and the people who spoke the Constitution into existence are the people. We do not have constitutional rights. We have constitutionally protected rights, and those rights come from the creator of the balanced universe.
Now look at this. And that's a heavy point he just said. But look at this. One of our fans that's in the chat room says, the thing you got to understand is that the Shady Hook thing was a fake, and Sandy Hook was, I said Shady Hook. I must ain't no Freudian slip. The Freud said, it come out like that shit. I'm sorry. But the Sandy Hook was a fake, and Hadia Pendleton's murder was real.
Well, the thing about it, like I said, both of them serve the agenda to incite some type, because they do a lot of things called shock testing. You got to understand.
I'm saying, is the government above doing this kind of stuff? Like murdering masses of people just to get the people to do an outcry.
I mean, you just said you did a 9/11 thing. What do you think?
Just saying. I mean, I'm not saying I know anything.
Right.
Herb Simmons.
Right.
I just wanted to answer your question. The government obviously is not above doing that. The Tuskegee Airmen was an experiment where they injected black pilots with syphilis, and they went untreated for about 70 years. Wow. So the government also created AIDS. As we know, as a biological weapon.
Is that true?
It's absolutely true. There was a House bill, joint resolution bill that was passed, and it was about 1965, where they spent $10 million to actually fund a biological weapon. It was passed in the House and the Senate.
Wow.
And then they actually came back and got more funding. I don't have the House bill, but I can give you the exact documentation to prove that it was our tax dollars that actually paid for the biological research, which ended up resulting in AIDS, which was created in Fort Detrick, Maryland, on a military base in Fort Detrick, Maryland.
Wow. Let me ask Six something. I mean, we just touched on a lot of stuff. Hadia Pendleton's murder, what I assume, or what appears to be apathy coming from the White House and the president. He's from Chicago. He should care at least about Chicago. And I really think he should care about every inner city hood. And I'm not saying what Tavis and them is saying, what's your black agenda? He's the president of the United States and all of the people. I'm saying there should be an equal amount of empathy for every class. If you care about the Sandy Hook, you gotta care about Chicago, Oakland, Compton, Fifth Ward. You gotta care about all of the kids. If you gonna cry for Sandy Hook, cry for more than Hadia Pendleton. But it shouldn't take a Hadia Pendleton. So my question to you is, with all of these extenuating circumstances that's happening in the black community, tell me how a black woman can navigate through all of this negativity to be able to still honor and respect her man. What are the things she has to do to turn her relationship around with him?
Well, for one,
because we sick. I need help. I need help, Six.
No,
I need help.
I'm not gonna watch you fall, okay? As a black woman with a man, if she see him falling some kind of way, Us black women got to be our man's backbone.
But what if I'm pushing you away?
You gonna push me away to make me stronger. I'm gonna have to be stronger because I'm not gonna let you make me fall.
Right.
Okay, you're not gonna make me fall. But at the same time, if if you're my husband, I'm supposed to stand behind you 100%, and I see you falling though, I'm gonna catch you before you fall.
But what if my contaminating thoughts and the way because think about it.
Sometimes you can't. Your ways and your thoughts can't push a person away.
Right.
Okay.
That's where I wanted to go to. Right there.
You can push a person away because it happens every day. Every day.
But this is what I'm getting at. There's a fundamental difference in our relationships today than there were, say, pre civil rights movement. And even during the civil rights movement, pre-feminism, pre all of that, there was a thing that this is ours. This is our business. Remember that? Mm-hmm. We got some elders that this is our business. Right? And it don't mean our relationships were perfect, but if you go back pre-civil rights, we had our own stores, we had our own bus lines. Remember, there was a bus line in the South that were owned by black people. Over 100 buses. But once integration came, we integrated with the white bus system. We lost that, sold it off. We don't have any more. Now we integrated to participate in their system and broke down our system. So I always make a distinction between integration and assimilation.
Like that.
To integrate is to maintain your identity within a new system. But to assimilate is to become totally absorbed by the new system and you don't have no more yours. We had our own education system. We had our own busing system. We had our own grocery stores. What I'm saying is back then our problems were ours and we stuck together and we made sure that we dealt with our problems our way. I'm saying today that ain't the case. Corey Holcomb talks about it all the time. Me and my woman get into something. She go to the white system. When I say the white system,
and I disagree with that.
Go deeper. That's what I want.
That's the one thing I disagree with. Is a lot of women, when you get into your problems, keep the system and the police and all them people out your business. Once you call them over something stupid on your husband, your man, some stupid ass shit, you know what's going to happen? You invited them into your family. You invited them into your business, okay? You invited them. It don't have to, and the women's like with the child supports and, and all the other bullshit that they be doing. When you start going to these court systems, all you doing is opening up your life to them because they're going to do a whole lot of checking on you,
Wow.
They're going to do all type of search on you. And then the thing is about it, the white men love to see us black women put our black men away. Seriously.
Now, we talked about the numbers.
They love when you call the police on these black men. And the women are the one doing it stupidly. Stupid things. I'm now, like...
But this doesn't exonerate the black man because sometimes the black man simply ain't shit.
Yeah, but that's what I was about to say. Now, you have some men that aren't shit, that don't do no wrong. And at the same time, you have women that will push a man, okay, to do wrong.
Wow. Herb Simmons, go deeper.
Very important point.
This is good shit. Go ahead, Six. You mad? Six is mad. Go ahead, Herbie.
The reason we do not get respect from the White House or from other groups is because we simply failed to love ourselves. We simply fail to respect ourselves, but yet we're always looking to get respect from somebody else. If we want respect, we simply have to band together and respect each other and love each other and support each other. It's not hard. It's very simple. We got to put away the TV. We got to get back to making loving music instead of music that unfortunately doesn't promote love. We have to. It starts within us, within ourselves, to make that decision. As a group, we're going to be different. And once we make that decision as a group, we won't have to wonder where the president is or wonder where this other group is.
Because we love us.
That's right.
And we're the healing salve that we need at that particular time, whatever crisis it is. We don't have to go ask for some salve. We are the manufacturers of the healing salve within our own community, correct?
That's absolutely correct. And we need, and one of the things is we have so many churches.
I was going to go there.
Okay.
I was going to ask you. Let me set it up for the church. Let's all get in on this. Is the church a problem with regards to us moving forward?
Yes.
How so? Brother Yusef L. People are asking, who is the brother I'm interviewing right now? That's Yusef L. blogtalkradio.com/high frequency. His show is called Rules to the Game. Yusef L. You spell that YUSEF-EL. Yusef L. Go deeper.
It's all about the truth. I mean, are you getting the entire truth? I feel that when you look at the Christian religion today, that they've given away away from a lot of principles. Such as like we were talking earlier about self-examination. Give it case in point. Give you an example. Easy example. Mark 11:23.
Go deeper.
It says, if you tell this mountain to be cast into the sea, and do not doubt it in your heart.
Of a mustard seed.
Nothing, if you have the faith of a mustard seed.
Just a mustard seed.
Nothing shall be impossible for you. Now, that principle is the exact same thing that's being espoused in the law of attraction. Don't they say just ask for it?
And in quantum physics.
Same thing.
Same thing.
But they will tell you that this over here is wrong. These principles, they're not showing you the power that you have in you.
They just show you the practice.
The practice, and then
not the power.
And then they're getting you into some type of worship type activity. They want you to worship the man and not what the man is trying to tell you. That kind of thing, you know. And then they cause separation because they won't allow you to see those exact same principles as they are being disseminated in other religions. You know, and that creates division. I'm right. Self-righteousness. I'm right.
You're wrong.
You're wrong.
I'm good. You're evil.
I know God. You don't.
Yes. I'm an authority. You're not.
I'm
Indeed.
Closer to God. You're not.
Yes. 6. Go deeper.
None of us can.
That's a good point.
Nobody can.
After you, 6, I'm going to the phone call. After the phone call, I'm going to Herbie. Go deep, 6.
Okay, I can't tell you that your religion is wrong, your religion is wrong, and mine is right. Because in reality, we don't know for real which real, because man has rewritten everything today. Nothing is written as it was back then. If you start getting these new Bibles and stuff, man has rewritten it to their way and put what they want us to believe happened. Just like that Scientologist shit. Come on, that shit is ridiculous. It's not like I just said. I can't say it's wrong or right, but to me,
you already said it though.
Yeah, I already said it. But that's one of the things I can't make myself.
Bullshit right here.
Yeah, it's bullshit. I can't make myself believe that bullshit.
Hysterical.
It is. But then another thing he was saying too, that I be trying to tell a lot of people. They said that, oh, I can't get out the hood. I can't do better. I can't do this. I tell them, stop saying that shit. Okay, you can do anything you want to do. Pick up a book. If you somewhere, educate yourself.
Right.
People say, oh, I can't afford to go to college. I can't afford to do. All it takes is reading.
Listen, they always have an open door for a nigga who's ready to assimilate. So yes, you can do all that shit.
You can do anything.
As long as you want to stay in line, they have a program for inline niggas. It's really that simple. Anybody that's revolutionary.
No.
You can't have a Bruce Lee today.
No.
Bruce Lee was revolutionary. You know what? Fuck all of the karate and kung fu. I'm going to create some whole other shit that's going to be so advanced, it's going to be crazy. We don't have space for, like I said, a Muhammad Ali. You know what? Fuck your rules. I'm not going to fight.
Right.
We don't have a space for a Malcolm X. Because guess what? That's now labeled under a rebellious, angry black man.
That's correct.
And I said this before, our president has to operate in a way that no other president has ever had to operate. He has to operate in fear of being labeled the angry black man. So now any form of stand-up-titude, like, oh, hell nah, any form of hell nah is considered, oh, he's out of pocket. Nah, guess what? Hell nah is who we are. We can be that without being negative or bad. Hell nah is who we are. What happens in your relationships when you can no longer tolerate some things your partner is doing? You find a moment of hell nah and you stand up to it. Our president can't even do that without fear of being labeled an angry black man. Tell me I'm wrong. 323-965-1600. Caller, you're on.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi.
Hello, who is this?
Hi, this is Nikia from Baltimore.
Nikia from Baltimore. What's cracking?
Nothing much. I was actually listening to the show.
Huh.
And let me take my headphones off because I'm getting some backseat here. The reason why I was calling is because I wanted to say that you talked about jewels and you talked about a simulation. And there's a problem where I think that we need to recognize that we evolve as people. And now we're in the information technology. And one of the jewels that we lack in our community is information.
Right. Yes, go deeper.
Say, for instance, let's go back to the Susan Rice thing, because that kind of struck a nerve with me. Now, I'm into politics. I don't just watch, just the regular shows. But I would say in Obama's defense, what people don't realize is Susan Rice was never his pick for Secretary of State.
Ah, go deeper.
So if anybody watched politics, John Kerry and Obama were hand in hand for the latter part of his presidency. That was always his pick.
John Kerry.
Susan Rice, right. Susan Rice was who the Republicans chose as an attack. But that was just a diversion. And on the same token, President Obama did defend Susan Rice.
So the old man was wrong.
I watched it with my own eyes.
Good.
You see what I'm saying? So the problem is, I think as a people, what we have to do is learn how to play on their playing field. There's nothing wrong with having education. The problem in having education is not reaching beyond education and learning about your own self and combining those two.
That's great.
So now we have to learn to play a different game. And you're right, the angry black man may not go over as well today. But then there is a way to deal with people when you know how to play their game and bring your rules into it.
That's good stuff.
She's talking about private, see?
The private versus
that's the public.
Yes,
you have a public education and a private education.
And this is why
right. And you have to have both. And I mean, like for me, I grew up in a very conscious household, but at the same time, I had that education. So if I walk into a place, I know how to read them and take what I need from myself to play their game and push my agenda. And that's what we have to learn and start doing, because the time for, physical revolution is a little bit different. We have to learn how to fight them on paper as well as in, the public arenas where we may do our stands for whatever reason, but at the same time, we have to know how to work it into their system.
And you know what? She brings up a great point. And you know what? Stay on if you like. She brings up a great point. Playing their game. But my question is, and this is to the caller too, how can we play their game
if we don't know the rules to the game?
Not only without knowing the rules, but how can you play their game without loss of self?
Well, you don't lose yourself. If you know who you are what you know. So if you have a strong set of who you are as a person, if you know who you are as a people, and that's our major problem. As a people, we still do not connect to who we are.
Wow. That's good stuff. Caller, great point. Thank you for reaching out. We appreciate the call. 323-965-1600. Yusef L., speak on it.
Well, I'd like to ride off what she said, knowing who you are, but you have to know who you are interrelation of government. The government is a fiction of law. All right.
What does that mean?
The word legal fiction means an assumption that something is true, even though it may be untrue, made especially in judicial reasoning to alter how a legal rule operates. It is a corporation. It is a construct of the mind. Everything on the public is dealing with public servants. So if you are not working for the government, if you are not a clerk this, judge that, mayor this, president that, secretary this, whatever, attorney this, that's not your playing field. That's not the playing field that you need to be on. The playing field for the public is for public servants. The playing field for the private, if you're a private citizen, all right, you need to know the playing field for the private, okay, and what the rules to that are. And that's how you stay in your lane, and then you interact with the government properly. The private people have more power than public servants. They are public servants. The problem with most people out there is they don't know themselves. They don't know who they are. They don't understand what their rights are. They don't understand their rights come from God, not from government.
Right.
And all these different things. So they don't really understand who they are. So when they interact with these people, these people are looking at you as, oh, well, you don't know who you are. You're
an infant.
Yeah, exactly.
If you have a lawyer.
Now, you have to tell them what an infant means.
I'm throwing that to you,
okay,
though.
I know what infant means. Infant doesn't mean a baby. All right? Infant means an incompetent.
Somebody who cannot speak for themselves.
Exactly.
Who needs a lawyer to represent them legally are considered an infant.
That's correct.
Within the court.
You're a ward of the state.
Wow.
All right.
Let's go deeper. What's the difference between big C and little c in the spelling of the word citizen?
Well, this deals with syntax in English grammar. When you look at the 14th Amendment, before the 14th Amendment, every time you saw the word citizen is with a capital C.
Right.
After the 14th Amendment, every time you see the word citizen, it's in a lowercase c.
And what's the difference?
The difference is between
because it matters in law, right?
Everything. Law is scientific. They don't do anything in happenstance.
Right.
All right. So the capital C is a proper noun and lower C is a common noun. A proper noun is a particular person, place, or thing. It's talking about real living beings. The 14th Amendment was put into place to allow corporations to be citizens.
Right.
Which could be anything.
So this ties back into, we know the 14th Amendment did bring in the corporation as a fictitious person.
That's correct.
Because that's what a corporation is. It's a fictitious person with all the rights and rules.
Of a real living person, but only on the public side. They're reflecting the private, okay?
This is so dope.
All right.
I love
So now they're giving this artificial person the same rights as this real living person, but the artificial person, it's like the game Monopoly. When you play Monopoly, you start off the game Monopoly, they give you tokens.
Yes.
You give you a straw man.
Yes.
You got a public and a private. You got community, chess, and chance.
Yes.
You got a jail on there. Roll 3 dimes to get out or pay to get out.
Yes.
You got deeds all on the board.
Yes.
Okay, it's the game. They were imitating, they were telling y'all what was going on right there. But
see, this is why I always say, ladies, I love my women, man. Because you guys make it all happen. Just what you believe in, what they assimilate into, they create the reality for men to follow. I know women don't want to hear that. But women are more sociologically tied in than men are. We do because that's where y'all are. We follow y'all. I don't even want to. Caller, you're on the line. Let's talk to the caller real quick. I'll go into that later. But caller, go on.
Hello, this is Sean Breeze.
What's up, man?
How you doing?
All right.
I like to speak on, why religion is bad or pretty much is harming the black people. It's because what religion, specifically Christianity, it pretty much teaches us to just pray and not do anything. All you see people on like Facebook, Twitter, whatever, they have an issue, and all you see in the reply is pray about it. But what about the action? And I think that's pretty much harming our community.
Oh, you know what? I think that's a great point to bring up, and I appreciate you sharing it, and thank you for the call.
All right.
But I would like to go a little deeper. I think prayer is power.
I do too.
I
think it is too.
I fuck with prayer all day in America.
Prayer works.
To me, that's power.
And prayer does work.
However, and prayer is an action. However, what I think religion does to people It burdens us with an unremittingly aggressive self-hate through guilt. Religion just burdens us with guilt. Oh, that was wrong, or that was stupid. I shouldn't have did this. Is this a sin? Is this wrong? Oh my God, I should pray and ask for forgiveness. To me, especially if you're Catholic, anybody who studied Catholicism understands that Catholicism, under the weight of guilt, anybody that's a Catholic will tell you guilt is built into their religion. That's just damn. You ask for 12 Hail Marys and shit is cool. Let me go confess because I'm guilty of what I've done for being a human, guilty of my body, guilty of what I said. Let me go get some confession. And no disrespect to Catholicism. I'm just saying, to me, guilt is a hindrance to the other side of the coin of guilt. And you know what the other side of the coin of guilt is?
What is that?
It's forgiveness. But you can't get to forgiveness if you're constantly guilty.
Well, I was going to expand on that because when you read Mark 11:23, it goes on to say that before you come to prayer, if you have something against your brother, go to him and get forgiveness and then come to prayer, because you're absolutely correct. When you're guilty and you ask for something deep down inside, you don't think you deserve it because you haven't forgiven yourself.
Wow. And you know what's even bigger, though? Dr. Mark Goulston, who made the point in terms of forgiveness, when he says the person who seeks forgiveness is more relationship quality than the person who refuses to forgive. Most people don't understand that. You don't understand that the calamities in your life, through relationship, through whatever, is designed to help you matriculate on a soul level.
That's good.
That's what it's designed for. Conflict, hurt, trauma, pain. But what ultimately happens is, I broke this down in another show. One end of the bridge is trauma. The other end of the bridge is forgiveness. In the middle of the bridge, or from trauma to the middle of the bridge, you have neuroses. What is the neurosis? The trauma creates a type of behavior to help you manage and cope with the pain of the trauma. And that neurosis actually builds a protective wall around the wound. And that wall prevents you from matriculating to the other side of the bridge where forgiveness is. You cannot forgive or be forgiven unless you've been hurt. So trauma is part and parcel connected to forgiveness. Our people are the most unforgiving amongst our own class. But we'll make an excuse for OJ. OJ didn't do it.
So, but you know,
we don't know if OJ did, but we'll back OJ because he's reached a certain status. We status lovers. Go deeper.
No, one thing I wanted to say about because I know through me, when I've learned was to let go and forgive a person, to me, it was like a big load off my shoulder, because I walked around for so many years not forgiving this person and just hating them. And it got to the point for me to go on with my life, I had to actually tell this person, I forgive you, and I had to move on. But the person that I had to forgive, it was hard because it was my mother's husband.
Wow.
And it was, and it sometimes depends on who it is that, you couldn't hold on to a hatred towards a person for years. Right. But at the same time, you holding up on your life. You holding back on you.
But you know what? Some people don't even take it as serious as we putting it. Some people just like, whatever, and they move on to the next situation.
No, but down the line, sooner or later, that whatever you said, when you don't have remorse, when you do certain things, you don't have remorse, down the line, as you get older, you're going to sit back and you're going to think about it. And you're going to be like, damn, I did that?
Right.
That was fucked up.
And the reason why we're bouncing back and forth from law and relationship is because the way we interface with the laws ultimately affect our relationships. How we teach these kids, our relationship from man to boy, our relationship from mother to daughter, our relationship to our religious beliefs, all matriculate back down to our relationship between man and woman. Herbie, go, and then Yusef L. Herbie.
Cousin, you just touched on a very interesting point. I don't know if you realize that you are both Jesus and you're Satan at the same time.
Oh, Jesus. Go deeper. Where are we at? We're in Bizarro world. I need help. Help me understand what that means.
What it means is that when you go outside to start your car, that Maserati sitting outside on 20, whatever.
Yeah,
when you go outside to start your car, if the positive and negative cable of the battery are not connected, your car is not going to start up.
Indeed.
So what I'm saying is that you need both the light and dark to truly get power. This is a concept that I've pondered on and prayed on. And basically, what I'm saying is that you are Jesus, you are God, but you are also Satan at the same time. And because you cannot have power if you don't have both of these in you. So you have good in you and you have bad in you.
Yin and yang, polarity.
Exactly.
The law of polarity.
And so what religion has done is religion has divided what I like to refer to as two brothers. They've divided Satan and Jesus, and it keeps you.
What are you,
praying.
A Mormon? What are we doing?
No, I just love the boundless creator of the universe.
I got you.
I just really what it is. You want answers. And in seeking answers, you realize that, wait a minute, we blamed our whole lives. For instance, we blamed Satan for this and Satan for that, and the devil this, the devil that. But we never took the time to ask the devil a question: did he or she do it? It's kind of like blaming black folks for being bad or saying that we're bad or we're ignorant, and nobody ever came to ask us or came to even talk to us and say, "Are you that way?"
Right.
It's just assumed.
Right.
And our religion and our churches teaches us to just assume that the devil is bad, Satan is bad, and everything. But we never ask the question, did you do it?
Right.
Did you do it? Did you do everything that was said? Okay, if you did it, then all right, man, I understand. You bad.
Right.
But that bad is also a part of us because we all make mistakes.
Right.
And so that's when you're reflecting on forgiveness. It's, as Yusef said, it's for both of us. It's for the person forgiving, asking for forgiveness is getting a release of energy, as well as the person that is forgiving.
That is forgiving.
And that's positive and negative.
Right.
And you have to have both positive and negative, in this case, Jesus and Satan, to get power.
Wow. That's a great point.
So you have to bring those two together in love.
I like that. That's some cold game from the good homie right here, Herbie. I love it. I love it.
That's why it says love your enemies, because your enemy is actually your friend and a part of you.
So let's go deeper.
Yeah,
I'm about to go deeper here.
Yeah, that's what it's referring to.
Instead, love your hurts, love your wounds. These wounds have gifts, but they can only be gifted to you once you embrace them. Trying to protect the wound, you understand? In other words, I don't want to feel the pain from the wound. Prolongs the life and thus the stay of the wound. The wound, the trauma, is a visitor in your spirit, right? You're allowing the visitor in. You must show it hospitality. But you're not supposed to try to, cover it and hide it and, not deal with it and blunt out the feeling of it. Because when you do that, you prolong its stay. Does that make sense?
Very much so.
See, and that's what happens. The neurosis is, okay, because this person hurt me, I'm going to cut off whatever behavior or activity that I think I'm guilty of, or that I'm not being acknowledged, or I'm not acknowledging. I'm going to say I'm a victim and this just happened. See, the dynamic of what we're talking about is rebuilding the psyche of a damaged people so they can be functioning citizens in a society where they wield so much power. Six?
So, okay, I'm in a situation right now, believe it or not. Okay, my dude was cheating on me and all that, and I found that, and the girl that he was cheating with, You know, she actually called me and everything, and she came to my house. And I ain't gonna lie, I whipped her ass, and when I was doing it, I felt good. I felt good beating the shit out of her ass. But then after that, the next day, the little girl came and apologized. My nigga 40, the little girl 20 years old. He had no business being with her. That's a child. Okay? And
she
had to tell
grown.
her, you know, she not there, but nah, she ain't grown in the mind.
No, not
okay?
at all.
Like I told her, you are a
that.
little girl. You will never reach my mentality until you live life. Okay, but the thing is about it though, Zoe, what I did though, this was a little girl off the street. The streets was going to kill her. The street was just beating her up. Even though she was sleeping with my band, but he went to jail. I took that little girl in. She's living with me now. I'm trying to get her back in school. You know,
Wow.
I'm trying to do something for her. I'm trying to tell her, stay away from them pimps. When I see them around her, I pull her away. If I see her anywhere, I go and get her.
Wow.
You know, because you are not going to take this little girl and destroy her and have her on no track and take her life away like that. You're not going to sell her no fucked up bullshit dream, okay? Stop, you know, and I'm not going to allow her. Herbie would tell you, the girl lives with me now. I couldn't, you know, and if a lot of people, you know, it won't fuck. So what? You gave him some pussy and all that. I didn't whip your ass for giving him pussy. I whipped your ass for you disrespecting me and coming at me the wrong way. Okay, now you learned a lesson. You don't come to a grown woman and tell her about her man. And like I said, after I did it, yeah, I felt good whipping her ass. But after I did it, I felt bad. And I know that this child needs help.
She needs mentoring.
She needs mentoring, yes. So why am I going to feed her to the wolf in the streets like that and not take her in and help her? A lot of my friends, girl, you stupid, you crazy. No, I'm not. I'm a child of God.
Right.
Okay?
Look at 6.
Okay, for real. I
Big
might
Mama
talk shit.
6. I like it though.
I might talk shit all the time, but I do help a lot of people. And to see that little girl and have her out there on the track, like they was trying to do to her, I want to, you know, I'm trying to save her.
Right.
But
see,
I can't
this is a good
save
point.
her.
This is a good point.
I'm trying. I don't know if I can, but I'm trying.
But all you can do is support.
I'm giving her support.
Right, that's it.
I'm trying to tell her, educate yourself. You're only 20 years old. You have a life ahead of you. But if you keep living this lifestyle, you ain't going to have one. You might be dead, in prison. Anything might happen to you.
Herb.
Cousin, what she's saying is exactly the point. It's neutralizing Satan or negative energy through love. See, so that's what, once again, loving your enemies is so. See, the churches in our community, you ask the question, to me, they represent the black mind, which represents division. When you drive through, say, Los Angeles, for instance.
You say the black mind represents division.
Yeah, the church represents our mind, which represents division, because on every corner you find a church. And if we're all so loving, why is there a different church on every corner in a black community?
Saying we should go to the same church.
Yeah, it should be one church, one central mind, one central theme, 10 principles that we are following, that we all agree to, so that we are moving in one direction. When we're moving in so many directions, okay, this pastor got this church, okay, then you go under and find out what happened. This pastor got into an argument, he disagreed.
Right.
And so now he started his own church.
Right.
And so then somebody else started their own church.
And then some of the members from that church went to follow him, and some of the other members stayed.
Exactly.
And then you look at the divisiveness and the division amongst the sisters and the brothers in there.
Right.
You know, Sister Whoop-de-Whoop, Abernathy got on the same hat as Sister Williams, and it's just stupid stuff that's going on, and it keeps us separated. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. And one important thing I realize about, like in Paris, all the churches are left unlocked for the homeless people to come in at night and sleep. But we're supposed to be these loving people following Jesus.
Well, let's not tear the church all the way down. You got some churches out there that are in service to the community, that are providing things, you know, paying certain people's bills and feeding families and doing stuff like that. So let's not tear them all the way down. But where I do agree with you is there is a division of mind.
Exactly. And of course, we're not talking about every single church and every single person. Right. But being in real estate, the church has enough real estate to house every homeless person so that there's no skid row.
But what is the church going to smell like on Sunday?
It doesn't matter. That's the whole point of
that means something to a lot of people.
Yeah, but the whole point of which you're following every Sunday, the reason you spend 8 hours in church every Sunday, on Tuesday Bible studies, Wednesdays, whatever, choir rehearsal, and all that
are you telling me we just got to recontextualize the church before we can recontextualize how we interface with each other?
Yes, I mean, because it's our foundation. And
Wow.
I mean, how can you go to church, you spend all this time, but then you riding past a homeless person, the person that's hungry, your brother, your sister. Jesus was like, yo, he told his disciples, don't take the money.
Separation of church and state. And that really happens in America because church is now really personal. I'm going because I want to feel better. But then Monday through Saturday, whatever apathetic mentality I had to make it through the week, that's back in play, right? If we look at big business is go get yours. Don't worry about nobody else. If you got to step on somebody to get somewhere, I mean, you know, I got a 16-year-old son. He's like, how many times have you heard on the basketball court, Herbie? He's a ball player. He went to high school and everything, played with all kind of NBA players. At the end of the day, these niggas ain't your friends. Because you're a point guard. And whatever weakness in your game is an advantage to his game. And that's just basketball. And basketball is just a metaphor for life. That's real in corporate America. Whatever weakness in your game is an advantage for somebody else. So how does the principles of religion even sink in one day out of the week when 6 days out of the week, that's who you are? Go ahead, Yusef L.
Well, first of all, I wanted to say how when I got into the study of law and so forth, what I found is it led to spiritual laws. People may not recognize that everything in dealing with law has a spiritual foundation connected to it. That's why the judge has on a robe like a priest.
What does the robe represent?
He's an ordinary. The church, when you go back to our court system, they go back to the ecclesiastical courts. The church was the original adjudicators of matters between the citizens, and then it devolved. If you look at a court, it looks exactly like a church. It's set up like a church. You even have in some churches the flags, the admiralty flags, and so forth. You have a Bible that is brought in. When you put your hand on, you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. All the judges have taken oaths to swear to God. When you're put in jail, the only book that they let you get in really is a Bible. They're giving you a book of law. So it's set on those spiritual principles. Now, when you deal with commercial law, when you talk about separation of church and state, commercial law has absolutely nothing to do with anything spiritual. It's totally devoid of any morality. Morality does not play any part in commerce like that. So, so when because you're dealing with fictions of law, you're dealing with artificial entities, corporations, and so forth. They have no place in there. Mm-hmm. And so I think, like I said, the young lady who called in earlier, when we talk about knowing who we are, when we discover who we are and we start demonstrating that we can live in accord, because one of the things that you always hear these people talk about common law, the common law, which is just another term for God's law. You heard this word common law marriage or something like that.
Right.
Well, to be living under the common law, you got to demonstrate compliance to those laws. So I agree with what Herb is saying. You have to show that you're living in accord with these principles that are being espoused in all of these religious texts. And I just don't ascribe just to the Bible, but all these religious texts that are talking about all over the world. And then you will be afforded or accorded some type of remedy. But if you're not demonstrating that you're living in accord with that, there's a cause and effect associated with everything.
So let me just say this really quickly, and I'm going to go back to Herb. If we want any success or any peace or any fluidity in this system, should we just bow down and just assimilate into the statutes and rules and regulations that are already here?
By no means am I saying that at all. You have a free will.
What I'm saying is most people, if it's hard, I'm not doing it. And if it's easier to just fall in line, then I'm going to do that.
Those who hope to be both ignorant and free are hoping for something that never has been and never will be. So if that is a choice. One of the rules of the game that they will never violate is free will.
Wow. Herb?
I think one of the most important points we have to understand is that if you want to understand how the master thinks. You have to think like a master, not a slave. So what I mean when I make that statement is we have a black president. So if we have a black president, do you think, I want to ask you this, cousin, do you think this country could survive without black men and women in it? And there's a reason. Okay, so of course not. So who's following who? Is it that we're following them, or is that they following us?
Right.
Because you put a black
Great
president in the White House after 200 years of white European leadership, it was not by accident. In fact, they were forced to put this black president in office. And if they're forced to put this black president in office to represent leadership of this country, then who are they really following?
Right.
And who are they really trying to keep complacent as the church keeps us very complacent?
Wow. Let me just say thanks to the sister Nakia Bay who called in. She gave us great insight. And this is proof. Just because they old don't mean they know what they're talking about. She brought great information to the show, and I'm very appreciative of that. And it's just an example of what this show is about. It's a platform for you to reach out, talk, discuss, share, and go into what we don't understand about ourselves. Now, before I leave, I want the brother to just break down really quickly the difference between liberty and freedom.
Liberties are granted to you. It's like when you have someone in the military, and you're on a ship. And when you come into port, you're given certain liberties.
It's a passport.
It's a passport. Freedom is something that was granted to you by the creator of the boundless universe.
And this is how I do it, and this is how I'm going to wrap this show. To make it make sense in a relationship context, freedom is unconditional love, and liberty is diet love. This is what I call it. It's love with rules and parameters.
Conditional.
It's conditional. It's diet. And my thing is, if you've never experienced unconditional love, you haven't lived. And there's a capacity within the human soul to not only reach for freedom and or unconditional love, but to be in that space perpetually. This is something that the government does not want you to experience. And when I say I'm speaking in a metaphoric sense, doesn't want you to experience freedom. What I mean by that is government. From the word governor, it means limiter. And it limits your ability to expand and grow and become whatever it is you want to be. You have to assimilate into their rules if you want to have any level of comfort.
Liberty.
And there's a difference between comfort and freedom. Yo, this was a great show. I want to thank, I'm going to give everybody a chance to say what they need to say. I want to thank my brother Yusef really quickly. What's the name of your show? Where can they find you?
It's on blogtalkradio.com/high frequency. Some people complain, I can't find it. But you could easily go into the search and put in rules to the game, and all of our shows will pop up. We are on every day, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and then from 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Great points, man. Love you on the show. 6.
Yes, Raw Talk with 6.
Gangsta Crip ass 6, nigga.
And I'm sponsored by how to get the man in your dream.com. They love fucking with me. Anyway, I want to say something really quick because I have 7 nephews, and they all been in that jail, and they come back with that mentality that I can't do this because I got a record, or I can't work here because of that. You know what? They need to be educated that you can do more. Just because you have a record or you've been locked up for 5 years or 10 years doesn't stop you from educating and learning, teaching yourself how to be a better man, to keep you from going back to prison. And I tell my nephews them that all the time. Okay, stop saying because you have a record or the white man did this to you, you can't live here. You have to stay in the hood because you don't get along living on this side. That's a bunch of bullshit. This world is for all of us.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And,
Yeah.
you know,
I didn't tell him that. She looking at me. I didn't tell him.
It's crazy though. Now, you know, it's sad that we eliminate ourselves, saying that we can't get education. We can't do none of that. We can do anything we want to do.
Exactly. Herbie, really quickly, 30 seconds.
I just want to say thank you for allowing me to be here, cousin. That's it. Thank you.
That's it. Hey, listen. This is the So What Morning Show. We'll be back at our regular time next Tuesday with the full team, everybody in effect. I really appreciate Six, Herbie Simmons, as well as my man Yusef L. We appreciate all the information. It was a great show, and I'll see you guys next week. Deuces!
Hey.